we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion combustion.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado.
This is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
It is an honor to be here on this stormy evening. Everybody out there in the Denver area, you know we record on Wednesdays, and we've had some hellacious weather out there, hailstorms, tornado warnings. It's been a blast. It's been fun. We are doing a solo episode this evening. Kevin is finishing up some business on his phone because...
Are we recording right now?
Yes, because we are extremely busy, men. The two of us are very busy day in, day out, doing something productive. I could really hear that clanking in my ears, but that's okay, because we have Kevin on the screen.
Hey, viewers of the world, good to see you again. This mic's fucked, Art. We got to fix this before Happy Friday tomorrow.
What?
It's
we can't do that now, Kevin. We got to stop. We got to stop playing around with that though, because we're recording now. Well, but I did see the damage, and it was pretty atrocious. It was pretty bad.
Well, this mic stand, we just had to make some adjustments with it.
No, but I'm saying, like, when I saw you playing with it, and that thing is loosey-goosey. Like, this apparatus that...
Should be tight.
Yeah. It popped completely out of there.
We're going to have to fix that another time, but I shouldn't even be sitting on this side of the couch, Art.
Well, sometimes things are so 2020 that you just can't get over it. And it's great to have you across the couch from me tonight. And so on this episode of Discussion Combustion, I will be interviewing Kevin. I am your host, Arthur Raw, and the guest for tonight is your co-host, Kevin Batstone.
Looking forward to it. I threw a mic stand across the room about 20 minutes ago, so that's how this night's going.
I'm happy that you brought that up in a very abrupt way, but it's important to recognize these kind of things, because I was in a shitty mood earlier, too, right? And I don't really know what the catalyst was, thinking back, but this early afternoon, there's just a point where, like, my patience was the lowest it's been in months, was this afternoon. And it's funny when that happens, right? Because when your patience is at its complete lowest, all of a sudden you get like 10 other things that test your patience the most thrown at you. And so when your patience is at the absolute lowest, your patience gets tested more than it's been tested in a long time. And so it's funny how, like, the universe works like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so.
What would be an analogy for that, do you think?
I don't know, man. I think, like, when it rains, it pours kind of thing, but that's an easy, like...
No, like a custom one.
A custom one?
Yeah, custom. I mean, when it rains, it pours. Yeah, that fits. But what would be like I salted my... I went to go salt... I salted my dish, and the salt cap came off. You know where I'm going there?
Yeah,
I'm trying.
I don't know. There could be a couple analogies, I guess. Ride it till the wheels fall off is one of them, but when the wheels start falling off, the whole thing derails.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. It's one of those deals. We're constantly being tested, and I'm kind of getting tired of having to fucking do these solos at the last minute.
So, to speak on that, I wanted to have a little conversation about what commitment means. To all the listeners, to all the viewers, what does it mean to you? But since we're in the room, I want to figure out what it means to us. What does it mean to you, Kev? What does commitment mean to you?
Well, I think commitment means a lot of things, right? It's to, number one, honor your commitments, show up prepared, be there, be square, as they say. And, if something does prohibit that, I think it's, within a professional way to alert a situation that you're supposed to be in at least a few hours in advance, wouldn't you think?
I would like to answer that by kind of defining what do we define as a commitment? Is it a commitment to ourselves, integrity-wise, a professional commitment that we make, a commitment of relationship, being with a significant other, or friendship. You know, that's a relationship too. So it's like, how are we defining commitment? And what do we consider commitments? And what are our commitments to ourselves? I feel like that's the most important commitment that we can make, is the one that we make to ourselves. And when you can make a commitment of like integrity, that is a huge commitment. And what is one question is like a catalyst to many questions. What is integrity? You know, we could keep moving on this, but to answer your question more specifically, a commitment to professionalism is over communication.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's personal and there's professional commitments, right? Like we all have to commit to our job, and there's different things that we can do with that. Obviously, a lot of people try to not do work and things of that nature, but, you know, I just don't really understand why we're still dealing with this nonsense, you know, at the end of the day. I'm tired of it. It's getting old at this point. It's frustrating, of course. You know, again...
Kev, what nonsense are you speaking to?
COVID.
Okay,
I mean,
so the 2020 jargon.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, we've been in this studio for a little over 6 weeks. And this is now the second time that we've dealt with a cancellation due to COVID at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't you think that, like, you know, you would kind of know that this is going on and maybe reach out and say, hey, man, you know, things aren't going real well. We're kind of looking into things. But I just find it funny that, you know, it kind of takes, you know, our social media presence to push that a little bit.
And I'm not going to get too deep into it. I'll speak vaguely is what I'll say. And if people are able to read between the lines, then you'll be able to see what's going on here. But there's a lot of fear-mongering that happens in society. And there's a lot of different areas where we can fall into the trap. I have personally subscribed to never taking another COVID test ever. I did have positive results in the past for COVID. Lost a sense of smell for a little bit. This and that. And I just am past that fear-mongering. Any long-term listener to Discussion Combustion, you already know my opinion on all that, right? So there's a lot of fear-mongering out there. What I want to stick to is commitments and what that means to us. Because to me, a commitment is something that I'm going to see it through. If I commit that I'm going to show up, I told Kevin I'll be there every Wednesday. I told John Ekstrom and Kevin and Nate Lundy with Mile High Life, I'll be there every Thursday. I'll record this episode. That's a commitment I made. And if that commitment, I got you split right now. But if that commitment, if that commitment,
This microphone's a piece of shit.
if I can't do that commitment, then I'm going to let people know. I have a commitment of communication as well.
It's just not that hard.
So I understand your frustration. Look, there's always going to be cancellations, and
there is, but you know, usually our cancellations come in with a significant amount of notice.
Mm-hmm.
Shit comes. I understand. Things happen. Things happen. You know, and I'm just tired of it. I mean, I don't know if it's this, like we're cursed in this studio now because like we've had cancellations at the old studio, but man, it's the second one.
There's some coincidences, some parallels, but the fact remains that in life, when you make a commitment to something, if you're serious about it, you're going to see it through in one way or another. What is your biggest commitment in life right now, Kev?
My biggest commitment is probably just, you know, being the best that I can be, you know, which isn't always good. It's not. I'm always tested, of course. But, you know, I think I commit to when I need to be somewhere, I'm there. Whether it's my day job, whether it's here, whether it's wherever. I don't do sick days. I don't really even take vacations. I work.
I will attest to that.
I work because that's what you're supposed to fucking do. There's no handouts in this life. All you fucking pussies need to get off your ass and get to fucking work because I'm tired of it. And I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I don't believe that. But what I believe is you need to get to fucking work. I don't care what it is. Do your day job, do your part-time job, do a hobby, do something. Stop being a fucking worthless mooch.
And if you are one of those things, you've probably already tuned out of this episode because you can't handle the truth. One commitment that I've truly made to myself is to appreciate the now. That's something I've really been focusing on a lot. And
What do with that?
And I actually really am enjoying doing a solo episode with you right now. Sure, the circumstances haven't been the best. I was fuming earlier today. Look, I didn't throw any mic stands around.
I threw one hard.
And that's okay. It was a coordinated throw. It wasn't like you were wildly throwing this thing. You actually just aggressively threw it to where it needs to go.
I mean,
and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so I don't want that to get blown up. Okay.
Everyone knows I have anger problems, and I've worked hard on them.
You have.
But tonight, not so good, guys. Not so good.
I mean, I would say you're doing pretty good.
I don't think so.
Your hair looks good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. When you're watching this app, I'm going to be getting it cut.
Oh, very nice.
So there's that.
And look, if anybody is anywhere in the Denver metropolitan area, because I drive from Glendale to Parker for this haircut, check out Susie Shirley. She does the cleanest, meanest haircuts out there.
Hands down.
She's amazing.
Absolutely. Art, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, because I know we plugged her on the show a couple times, but down there in Parker, Colorado, if you want to make a visit, best barber I've ever been to. I mean, she's been cutting my hair for 6 years.
Yeah, you go in there, look, just like any new person that you're getting a haircut with, you go in there, get it dialed, 2 to 3 sessions. By the 4th session, dialed. You know, and
max.
Look, I know you got me on a Susie. Mark got you on a Susie.
Mark did, but yeah.
And with that being said, I trust my peers.
Well, I mean, you have to trust the people you surround yourself with. Otherwise, what are you doing, right?
Well, I mean, what you're doing is something that ain't worth a shit, probably.
See, that's why the center table keeps getting moved, because you're knocking it.
No, but when we moved it earlier, it was closer to me. We had to push it that way.
Well, you were sitting over here in the fun seat last week, Arthur.
And I am right leg dominant, probably.
So I'm going to go ahead and blame you for that.
I am always a good candidate. Kev, no, it's good to be recording with you, man.
Hey, I love you.
We don't really care on this episode. And
I know. I'm over it.
You know, and what are you over exactly? What is it? What is it?
What is it? I don't know,
What
man.
is it?
I don't know. I'm over today, really. I was having a great day too. You know, I came here. I got some Wendy's.
I know. I'm sorry. My energy. Probably
No, I don't think it did.
This.
Because
my energy.
No.
Usually I'm in a good mood, and
No.
and you came in on that one of those rare days.
No, I did. I had some those ghost pepper fries from Wendy's, guys.
Yeah, those are good.
Delicious.
Check them out.
So I was eating those, and I was
good.
in a good mood. Art was, he was a little frustrated. That's fine. We were doing some Happy Friday prep,
But I knew I was.
which is going to come out tomorrow.
Yeah.
Second week in a row that's happened.
Well, I would like to play some music right now, but we can't.
No, we'll get you two will probably fuck us in the ass on that one too.
Yeah.
So then we had a.
Can you just give me lube one time, YouTube? Just one drop of lube would be great.
A lot of people are going through it, guys. Creators out there, you can relate to us. But so
Just one drop.
Then we had a lot of tornado warnings here though today.
Yes,
Art.
we did.
So we went outdoors to the parking garage,
Uh-huh.
which was we moved our cars in there because we didn't want to get hail damage because my windshield's already fucked. And we're going to talk about hail on Happy Friday tomorrow, so be sure to tune into that. But we went in there, kind of checked it out. There was tornado. I didn't even hear tornado sirens so hard. It was going off in my phone.
No, we didn't have any live action where we were physically located.
I haven't heard a tornado siren in a minute.
Well, what was interesting when I was scripting Happy Friday Denver, Wednesday, the 10th, they were supposed to do all these Denver siren tests, and I realized that I live in Glendale, so I couldn't hear any of that. So I'm just curious how that was in Denver. If someone wants to send us an email at discussioncombustion@gmail.com, you can go ahead and send us one of those. We are on Patreon as well. Zero content on there right now, but any support.
So I'm still curious, though, Art, I thought Glendale, it's not Arapahoe County, right? It's Denver County.
It's Denver County. Mm-hmm.
So, like, my folks live in Littleton, which, we're going to talk about Mother's Day, of course, tomorrow on Happy Friday. Mom and I are going to go out. Mom's never had pho.
Never? Mm-mm. Ever?
Never. And so I'm taking Mom out for pho. We're going to talk about that on Happy Friday tomorrow, so I'll keep that short. But
yes, please.
Mom's obviously listening, and she's probably like, son, you need to calm down. But what I'm going to say is this. So they live out in Littleton, and they get to vote in Denver County. So they voted for Denver mayors, things of that nature. Like, they're still involved with the Denver County. So if you're in Glendale and you're in there, how are you not, seeing or being interactive? Not interactive, but like the Denver sirens and things of that nature. How's that not happening?
I didn't hear any sirens today. In all other aspects, I don't pay attention to politics. I just feel life is a lot more simple without all of that noise. That's how.
Fair enough.
That is how.
But you are in Denver County. That's the main question I had.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes. Glendale, Cherry Creek,
Is Denver County.
area is Denver County.
Should be. Because,
Yes.
we talked to, obviously, when we were doing our strategy call with Mr. Ekstrom earlier for tomorrow, he didn't get the tornado warning that we got because over here, we're in Arapahoe County.
So I wonder if he got the siren warnings earlier today then.
I don't think he did because he's in Denver County.
No, but like Denver was supposed to test their sirens today.
Oh, yeah.
On Wednesday.
So
at 10.
they would test it the day that we have like potential tornadoes. That doesn't seem like a good time to test. Like it should have been tested.
I mean, that's just how that's. You can't predict the weather.
That's true. You can't.
Okay, wait. I don't know.
I
don't know if this is an actual song, but like this is my rendition of this. Like, you can't predict the weather, but you can change the weather within you. So like somebody sings that out. Like you can't predict the weather. You cannot change the weather, but you could change the weather within you. I don't know if that's a real song or not, but
What does that mean, though, like the weather within you?
Well, because I could feel gloomy. Oh, I feel rainy today, or I feel like a fucking thunderstorm right now, or like.
Do you ever feel like hail?
How would hail feel like?
Well, I don't know. I mean, what would it feel like to be a thunderstorm? Like you're just making a lot of noise and like flashing light. So hail would be like maybe I did hail by throwing things.
Because a lot of times hail is like a flash in the pan. It doesn't last that long.
That's true.
So it's like, so maybe
Could you be snow though? How would you be snow? Are you cold?
You're like cold-hearted towards somebody. You could be icy.
You're burying them.
You could be icy. You know. You could be like hot, like where you're horny. Like people prefer. You know what I'm saying? Like you could change the weather.
I don't think I do.
You can change.
Could you be humid? How are you humid? Are you sweaty?
You could be moist.
You could be moist. That would be. I guess that would be humidity.
You could feel. What would be the equivalent of a boner for weather? So, like, if I felt like I was getting staffed, like I would feel weather related as in.
I don't know if an erection compares to weather.
No. Like there's a high pressure. There's a high pressure moving in. There's like a pressure moving in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would more relate to coitus or intercourse.
No, that would be a tornado when.
I don't think so.
When the hot and the cold hit together.
That's an occluded front, which is what creates lightning. Because you have basically two different energies overlapping each other.
So would that be the equivalent of sex for weather?
I don't think so, because it's not in the context of like it's not a usually coitus is fun, it feels good. Lightning I don't think feels good. I mean, folks have survived lightning strikes.
No, but does it feel good to the weather? Because it's like releasing all this energy. We're not talking human scales here. We're talking.
So you're saying lightning is like doing ejaculation?
Maybe that's hail.
I don't think that's hail. That's it. I don't think that's it.
So
I mean, I don't know. I really don't know on that one. I don't know if sex and weather compares, but I guess it could.
No, emotion and weather is where we got started.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of feelings.
Yeah.
Involved in intimacy.
I suppose, like physical feelings, not emotional.
So we could even get like particle wise in here, like just even precipitation happening, like like this water getting pulled and then forming these clouds. Like what kind of mood is that?
I don't know. Nothing rings a bell to me. I mean,
it's like a new coming. Like yeah, like you feel like there's like this prosperity on the horizon, sort of thing. Like, the rains, they bring life, unless if it's a monsoon and it causes a mudstorm. And then
Mudstorm?
a mudslide. And then
Sinkhole.
There's a lot of deadly stuff out
Could
there.
that be related to anal?
Yes.
I mean, I'm just trying to understand the connection here.
We might be the pioneers of this. Because, look, you can't predict the weather, but you could change the weather within you. But now that we're talking about this and we're like, okay, well, what's this type of weather relate to as far as emotion goes? And we're really having a hard time sticking it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I love the weather, as you guys know. Chief meteorologist here for TCPC and HFD. We don't do weather. Well, actually, that's not true.
Welcoming in Chief Meteorologist Kevin Batstone for Discussion Combustion and Happy Friday, Denver. Kevin, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I was also going to say that we talked a little weather on Mash the Gas this week as well because, weather's a big factor in the races. And so Dad's down there this weekend for Darlington, going down to the race. And it looks like it might rain, the forecast. Forecast looks like a little bit of rain down there. So, look, I'm going to talk about a lot of weather on Happy Friday tomorrow, but we're in that time of year. We're in that time of year where we're getting a lot of moisture, and the storms are starting to pick up a little bit. And we're going to start to see those afternoon thunder boomers. We need the warmth, though, to fuel the extreme weather. Yeah, we saw a shit ton of hail, Art. We saw it. We didn't see it here, but our friends sent us pictures and all that shit. The weather's changing, and hail's coming.
So if hail is coming, then I'm going to compare hail to a feeling of like fiery anger. And look, I know that because we're talking weather. Look, fire doesn't fall from the skies unless if like that's geological, okay? Fire in the skies is not weather, that's geological.
Yeah, this is like a volcano.
So I'm going to compare hail to feeling hell inside. That's what I'm going to do there.
Hail is hell?
Mm-hmm.
Hail, hell?
Mm-hmm.
Hell, hail. That double H.
That hail hitter. Wow, Kev. I love it when you catch me flat-footed. Sometimes when we talk the weather and emotions based upon weather, there's so many different conversations. But the fact remains that we're going to keep it coming at you. We make commitments, and one of my biggest commitments is being here to do this show. It's an outlet, and it's a bit selfish. I will admit to that. I get to spill my guts here, and I'm fortunate to do that and sit across from one of my best friends and talk about how sinkholes could relate to anal. And it's so much fun. We get to be stupid here, and I'm just grateful for everyone that does tune in and gives us a shot. We're going to keep showing up.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, we certainly appreciate everyone tuning in and watching us, every week. It means a lot, and, these solos, they're always interesting because I get to see and hear kind of us, unapologetically just the raw Kevin and Art. That's how the show started, and that's fun too. I don't, particularly I like the planned ones more. I don't like these last minute ones, but hey,
that's what makes them special.
What's real, right?
When else do you get somebody? I mean, when else do you get that raw Kev that comes on and is like, you're all like, yeah, I just threw some shit, yeah, this and that.
I did,
but that's real.
There's still damage in there.
Is there any other? Are there other podcasters out there? And I'm sure there are. I don't listen to podcasts.
I don't either. I don't have time.
I'll admit that I don't listen to podcasts. I record them, but I know a lot of podcasters are real out there, but I don't know if they're being truly authentic. They will talk controversial, sexual, violent things, but I don't know if they're being authentic with themselves. I will put it on the line on this podcast. I've talked about all my demons. I'll act my stupid self. Who you see on this camera right now and across the table from me, if you meet us in person, it's the exact same fucking person.
Yep.
We don't play characters on this podcast.
Yeah,
and so one thing about consistency, since I want that to be kind of a theme of this, is
You had us on the splits.
yeah, no, I've been doing a lot of that tonight. Another thing on consistency is being authentic to yourself, consistent to yourself. Who are you? And are you going to stay true to that person regardless of what your peers say or think, regardless of what society says or thinks? Are you going to stay authentic to yourself? Will you be consistent with staying authentic? That's a tough battle. I've fought with that battle. It's so easy to like start following this river, this stream of, I mean, for example, when we walked in from all the storm warnings, all these people are huddled in the basement and they see Kev and I walk in from outside and all of a sudden they're like, oh wait, things are okay. Because they were all in their own little pod. They were like, I know you could speak something on that.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, we live in a time where people need to be told what to do. They don't, and take what you will with that. You know, we're constantly having warnings and things thrown in our face of what we're supposed to act and what we should do, and everyone's looking for, you know, some sort of guidance and like a leader, so to speak. I feel like people need to be led because we deal with a lot of sheep. People just follow people. It doesn't make you weak. It just means that you've kind of fallen to the system. And yeah, to your point, you know, I think that we see a lot of it across the board. I think people have a hard time making decisions for themselves. They need approval. They need validation. And they're constantly being conditioned by the news, the weather, you name it. Even the weather can be, like I said to you in the parking garage, mm-hmm. It can be, you know, indoctrinating and propagandizing people because we see it with the snowstorms. You know, they're forecasting a snowstorm 3-4 days out, and people are flooding the grocery stores.
Yeah, it's sold out everywhere.
It's ridiculous.
People are, like, pushing into each other.
And I'm not saying, like, extreme weather doesn't exist, because we've seen major tornadoes happen this year, and people have lost their lives and their homes and things like that. Like, extreme weather happens. It does. But I think that they've kind of found, and by they, I guess I mean, you know, mainstream and some of these organizations that, you know, can play off a marketing opportunity with weather. I don't like that.
Well, and God, it's such a rabbit hole. It's such a rabbit hole. I mean, when you really start getting into it, everywhere that we are not interacting in person, physically interacting with businesses, with new opportunities in business, with people that we're dating, with potential friends, with, you know, recreation, you know, all these things. If you're not interacting straight up, boots on the ground, in person, it's, especially with this AI boom and stuff, it's like, I didn't even believe anything before I was already skeptical about everything before the AI stuff really started to pop off this year. And look, it's been in the mix for a long time, but why is it surfacing to the top of the media now? So like, it's a whole catalyst. This whole thing that you're talking about right now is a whole catalyst, this whole conversation of like, what can we trust? What do we trust? So I'm going to wrap up my thought with, I can only trust it if it's live action in front of me.
Yeah.
And I will trust my intuition. I listen to my subconscious partner. It is my partner in success. My subconscious is my partner in success and will always steer me down the right route.
Well, one of the biggest lessons that you taught me, Art, was that your intuition is right 99.9% of the time. And since the day you taught me that, I not only believe it, but I live it because it's true. When you can really tap into it, but it can be confusing because there's conflicting reports between your head, your heart, you know, those kind of things. And then there's outside influences, right? We talk about social media, we talk about the mainstream media, we talk about the weather like we just did. We're constantly going to be tested on, you know, what is it? Where are you at? How's it going? But man, it's just with AI, you know, in regards to that, you know, we saw something came through in our group chat today about there's an individual that created an AI like
we talked about this before on one of the pods.
Yeah.
But no, actually it was the beginning layer. So sorry, I don't mean to derail that, but before on Reddit, there's like an AI generated female, and
That'll be your girlfriend.
They were selling nudes. This was before, and now there's this more advanced version.
Of course, and it's going to continue to evolve and advance and do other things. But the report that I read was it's $1 a minute for this AI artificial intelligence individual to be your girlfriend and or romantic partner, if you will, for $1 a minute. I mean, what I don't even know what that means. You know, how do you have?
So, I am. Look, I like I've talked about the opiate stuff a lot on here, but not my insecurities as a young adolescent and teen. I used to be extremely insecure. Like talk myself out of all these different opportunities. So I can only put myself in that mode of mentality to have any empathy for what I'm about to say. Is you feel like you're worthless, and you feel like you cannot actually achieve an actual connection in reality with the counterpart that you want. And so due to the isolation that has been normalized through social media, right? Because you have friends, but you don't see them. It's like a normalized isolation, but yet you're still connected with all these people, but not actually seeing people in real life. This is what drives people to actually move forward on these type of purchases, is because they're so entrenched, and they're so entrenched. Let's look at it like the current conflict in Ukraine between the invaders, Russia. There's trench warfare happening out there, and the warriors in those trenches, you know, my hearts are with you. But then you get this drone footage that is way high up, and you can see everything happening. It's just different. And I want everybody, and this is a weird analogy, but I want everyone to like look at their lives from a drone perspective. Because once you look down on it, what you're doing in the trenches, that's life or death. Especially long term. The further down or back you go in the trench, like that's life or death. You know, so this whole AI thing and people purchasing that, first, there's a huge red flag that technology is progressing to this point where people can't even fucking tell. It's been like that for a minute, I feel like, already anyway. Second of all, we have to get some interactions going. And as far as insecurity goes, if you're insecure about yourself about something, you're probably the only person thinking about that. Like, any insecurity, what I've learned over time is that no one fucking cares. Everyone is so self-absorbed and entrenched in their own life. Just the whole point I was just making. They're so entrenched in their own life that they don't even fucking care what your insecurities are in the first place. So you're literally the only person that's thinking about these insecurities about yourself. You could save yourself a lot of time and energy by just saying, who gives a fuck? The fuck it mentality really helps.
It does. I would agree with that.
I mean, sorry, I went on a little rant there.
No, you're good.
There's a lot of layers there.
There is. And the theme of today has been, I don't care. Who cares? Mm-hmm. And I think that's, you know, of course you got to care about certain things. But again, we live in a world that's been so fucking propagandized with nonsense. And social media is is to blame for a lot of it. But just in general, I mean, we've seen it over the last, several decades, people comparing themselves to others. I was thinking about this earlier today when I was driving around. I'm like, man, people are just so goddamn constantly looking for validation. Constantly, whether that's the clothes they wear, the content they put out, whatever. And that's fine. That's fine. That's great. But man, if you're not completely, like, the content and the way you carry yourself, if you're not happy with that, like, nothing else is really going to add value to your life. Because so-and-so saying, oh, you look great, those are nice shoes, great shirt, loved your podcast, none of that, like, that's great. Those are nice compliments. But if you're not thoroughly enjoying your time and you're not feeling fulfilled within yourself, that shit isn't going to add anything to it. It's temporary. It's all temporary. Because if you're seeking outside validation, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. And look, if you were strong enough to get through the first half of this podcast and get to the real shit, beyond the venting, look, we didn't really complain, but it's okay. It's healthy to vent. It's healthy to vent. And you inspired me, Kev. Look, let's all be consistent in life. What does consistency mean to you? There's a lot to unpack here. All we can do is do our best to look at our lives from above. As I mentioned earlier, consistency, one of my biggest consistencies is appreciating every day. I'm going to continue to be consistent on that. Do my best to enjoy every day. That's how I feel, man. So, Kev, since you're on that side of the couch, if you could give one piece of advice to humanity so everyone could be better tomorrow, what would that piece of advice be?
Own it. Stop being a pussy. You fucking weak individuals.
That's some real shit. That is some real shit. And like we always do on Discussion Combustion is, we open that up a little bit. So the own it mentality is something where it's like,
why can't we just close it there? That would have been a great way to close the show.
Everybody, be good to yourselves.
You deserve it.